Welcome to Latino Reads, a weekly inspirational video podcast that highlights award-winning authors and leaders, exposes viewers to all types of books, and motivates thinking on a variety of topics. Your host is Maria Elena Cortez. Disfrute. Enjoy.
Hi, welcome to Latino Reads. My name is Maria Elena Cortez, and I look forward to being your host. I have with us the legendary, amazing, super Latina, Dolores Huerta. Es un honor tenerte en el programa de Latino Reads. I was a teacher for 20 years, and one of the questions my students always ask was like, wouldn't it be fun or exciting to one day meet Dolores Huerta? And I thought, oh my goodness, that's never going to happen. But I would like to take this interview to some of the students that crossed our path in those years of teaching and get to know the other side of Dolores Huerta. And not really get into the politics. ¿Cómo estás?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Great, and you look so healthy, so energetic still. How do you keep yourself so inspired to continue to do what you do?
Well, we know that we have a lot of work to do out there, especially for our young people, for our students. And so when we think about all the work that we need to do, then we have to keep on working. And I think it's the struggle and la lucha that really keeps you energized and gives you the energy that you need to keep on going.
Yes, and you look amazing. So you inspire all of us who are out there battling and the challenges. No matter what we encounter in life, you know, we always have to be positive and never give up. What message would you give the students or the youth out there, the parents who encounter challenges, and how do we respond to those challenges? What's the smartest way to do the work?
Well, I would say to the parents and also to the students, when you have issues at school or in your community, speak up. But the other thing I would say is to try to organize other people that are facing the same kind of an issue as you are to come with you. So it's not just one person speaking up for themselves, but you actually have a group of people, either a group of students that are kind of going through the same thing, or that have gone through the same thing in the past, or again with the parents. Other parents are actually being affected in the same way. And so organize a few people to go with you, and that way you're not there by yourself, and that way they'll pay more attention to you. Because sometimes it was just one student by himself or herself, they'll say, well, they're not going to, sometimes they want to believe the student, right? And what they say. But if you have like 2 or 3 other people that the same thing happened to them, then I think it gives you a little bit more power when you go.
That's right. There's a saying in Mexico that says, unidos hace la fuerza. And that is
That's
together, united, we are stronger, and we also are wiser because we learn from each other.
Right.
And we support each other. One of the things I always encourage the students is to get informed, get educated, find out who your leaders are. So you do it in a very smart and wise way, write them letters. To get them to discover also the power of print, the power of writing, and how it can influence or inspire our community leaders.
Well, I think when you say that word, who the leaders are, I'm assuming that you're talking about the people in authority. The people that you have to, the people that you have to go to, right, to change things, right?
Exactly.
So sometimes those people are not very good leaders. They just happen to have positions of authority.
Yes.
To me, the leaders are the people that are getting people together and and encourage them to come forward.
Yes.
That to me is the leaders.
Well, that's right. But what I was going to ask you is, I always promote writing and the power of print. But you're right. Sometimes those leaders are not being the best they can be, or they're not reading, they're not listening to us. So sometimes we have to take other venues to get the attention. And you did that. You were an expert at doing that. So what advice would you give those of us who are trying to make changes in education, in just in the community in general, so we can become better human beings and get along and learn to respect one another?
Well, I like what you said about putting things in writing. Like if somebody is harassing you or you're being discriminated in some way and it's ongoing, I believe exactly what you're saying. Get a little book, a notebook, and just put down the date, put down the time, and put down what happened. What did they say to you? How did you respond? And so that you have some kind of a record of an archive. And then you can put your own thoughts about that particular issue also, no?
Yes.
So because I think that also helps, like in journaling. But that way you have a record so that when you are, say, being discriminated, but when you go and you bring it up, they're gonna say, well, I don't know whether you're telling the truth or not, or the other person's telling the truth. But if you keep a log and say, well, it happened on this day, and then it happened on another day, and then it happened last week, you know what I mean?
They see the patterns.
And then you have the incidents, you write them down so that you have proof of what happened. And again, if you can also get people to go along with you and be witnesses to this, it makes it even stronger. And I guess the main message that we're talking about here is how learning to represent yourself, learning how to fight for yourself, and if you do it through documentation, it makes it all the more stronger.
Yes, that's right. Dolores, you have been leaving a mark already. You're going to be remembered forever for all the amazing things you do with the farm workers and changing even law. So which one of those do you think would be the one that was the most important, that really marked the history in the United States, that made the biggest impact?
Well, the one that there's two of them that I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
One of them was when we changed the law so that you did not have to be a U.S. citizen to get public assistance. Because before we made that law, passed that law, if you couldn't get any kind of aid to needy children or aid to the blind or old age unless you were a U.S. citizen. But we changed the law so that if you were a permanent resident or a green carded, tarjeta verde, then you could get the same kind of assistance that other people get. Okay?
Yeah.
And so now we have maybe millions of people that are covered by health care in the United States that are not U.S. citizens, but because they're permanent residents, they're able to get that kind of assistance. And so the other law that really affected millions of people was when we passed the amnesty bill in 1986. And a lot of people who were here who were undocumented, but if they could prove that they lived in the United States for 5 years, they got their amnesty. Or the farm workers, even better, we got amnesty for 1,400,000 farm workers. And for the farm workers, they just had to prove that they had worked 90 days for 3 consecutive years in the United States, and they could get their legalization. So those are important laws because they did affect millions of people. And then we passed other laws like getting people the right to vote in Spanish, getting driver's licenses in the Spanish language, disability insurance for farm workers, unemployment insurance for farm workers. So those are other major pieces of legislation.
It's so much, and that's why we love you and we thank you for all your beautiful work and the passion that you have and the resilience. That plays a big part, being resilient sometimes and dealing with certain situations. So thank you so much for doing what you've done.
And one big law that we just passed recently with the help of so many people in the state of California is to tax the millionaires. So if they make $1 million, they have to pay 3% more in state taxes. If they make $500,000, they pay 2% more. And if they make $250,000, 1% more. And as a result, we got over $8 million into the state of California, you know?
Yeah.
And that really helps us with our education.
And then the last question I want to ask you is, you know, they've been raising the minimum wage. And I was, as a teacher and as a parent, I was just concerned with if we raised it too high, would that then force some of the students to not want to go to college because now they're getting a higher minimum wage. And that was a question that was brought up the other day by one of my actual students, and they were like, you know, some of my friends are saying, well, if they raise it, they can't wait till it's raised because then we don't have to go to, you know, immediately to college. We can live off this for a little bit and then we'll go to college later. So that got me thinking, so what's your take on that?
Well, we know that they're going to raise it gradually. So it's not going to go all. It's not going to be $15 all at once. It won't get to $15, I think, till 2022 or something. So that people should not plan on dropping out of college at this point. Okay, it's going to take a few years before it gets to $15 an hour. And the important thing is that I think we want people to try to go to college because at the end of the day, when you go to college, you don't have to worry about $15. You'll get $30 or $40 an hour.
Exactly.
Instead of getting the $15 an hour.
And another thing I kind of mentioned to my student that asked that question, I said, you know, it also, they're raising it also because the standards are getting higher and higher, and it's just harder to live off that minimum wage that we have right now.
Right.
And so, you know, I just want the students to think, but I also want them to know that, you know, going to college is important, and following those goals and dreams that we have, and having that passion just even makes you happier. And not necessarily the money that you're making, but finding that passion that you have in making that part of your job.
Right, and I think for students, I want to just say that the important thing is to find what you like to do.
Yes.
And then focus on that.
Yes.
Because when you become an adult, So if you can make that your job, if you like to draw, if you're an artist or you're a musician, and I know it's a little bit harder to make a living that way, but if you like numbers, go into science, into medicine, think of the thing that you really love to do the most. Writing is important, and try to follow that career path, because that way your work will never seem like work. Your
That's
work
right.
will be fun. That's the important thing. And I do want to correct myself, because I think I said that we brought in $8 billion.
$8 billion.
$8 billion that we brought into the school system.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for doing what you do, and it's an honor and a privilege for me to meet you and get to do the interview for Latino Reads. I wish you the best. May you continue to inspire our youth, our community leaders, and everybody at in the planet, because you're making a difference. And I just hope we get some of that energy and that enthusiasm, because we want to also continue to follow your steps, and hopefully we can inspire the youth to continue to fight for always what's right.
And I know that our youth out there, that they're very, very smart, and they are not afraid, and they're not afraid to stand up for themselves, and stand up for their parents, and stand up for your education, okay? And if you have problems with teachers, just let me give a word of advice to you. Learn whatever you can from them. If there's some teachers that maybe you think they don't like you, and maybe they don't like you, but you know what? You're only with them for a short while, okay? So just learn whatever they can to teach you, and ignore them if they don't treat you the way that you should be treated. Then just kind of ignore that behavior and concentrate on your studies, because at the end of the day, and I like to tell the story of one of my teachers one of my children actually, he had a teacher that was very racist, and he was learning to be a chef. And he said, "Oh, Mom," he said, this teacher is such a racist, I'm going to quit the program." He was in a training program. And I said, "No, mijo," I said, "you're not going to marry that teacher, okay?" I said, "So just learn what you can from him, and then, because you're not going to be with him the rest of your life, right?"
That's
just
right.
for a short period of time. And afterwards he said he learned more from that racist teacher than none of the other chefs that he had.
Wow.
Yeah, just in terms of what he had to learn to be.
And sometimes we have to be patient, because we don't necessarily might see it that it's a good thing at that moment, but in the long run, everything happens for a reason. And there's people that we think we may not like, or we feel like we've been discriminated against. But I always tell my students, get to know them, be patient, before you immediately, make your own judgment too early.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if you do face abuse in the classroom or on the school ground or whatever, and then, as I said before earlier, get 2 or 3 people that are having the same issues as you are, so you're not going out there by yourself, okay? Or get witnesses that saw you when you were being mistreated. Because also, we want to be able to stand up for ourselves, as we
That's
said.
right.
We don't want you to be victims of abuse either, because one of the things that we have to do is we have to learn how to organize and how to defend ourselves. But we can't do it alone. That's the main thing to remember. You can't do it alone. Get allies, get people there with you, and then stand up to the system, whatever system it is, if you feel that you're being mistreated.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to maybe one of these days having one of your stories turned into a book.
Okay.
So
hopefully.
Yes, and then that will be another interview in the future with Latino Reads.
All right.
Thank you, un placer. Que Dios la
Thank you.
bendiga.
Thank you.
Y see you soon. Thank you for joining Latino Reads. We'll see you next time.
Sign up on iTunes to catch more inspiring, award-winning authors every week on Latino Reads. Latino 24/7 will have new shows for you shortly. If you enjoy them, be sure to follow and rate them. We appreciate your feedback. Thank you.